Okay, Malindi, shall we start?
Okay. Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining with us on our 11th edition of Colombo Type. Today we have a wonderful topic arranged for you guys. This is a topic that I'm personally really interested in, so I'm super pumped to introduce you to Tharique Azeez. We are going to talk about drawing expressive Tamil letter forms. Expressive being the key word. So we have none other than Tharique Azeez. Before I give him a proper introduction, I would like to remind you about what we did on our 10th edition of Colombo Type. On our 10th edition, we talked about Sinhala numerals, the evolution of Sinhala numerals, how they vanished from usage or disappeared from usage, and the current stage with the digitization of Sinhala numerals. Kosal Seniratna joined us on that presentation. So if you haven't checked it out, if you missed that presentation, you can stay until the end of this live stream and then go back to our Akuru Collective YouTube channel and explore all the past Colombo Type events as well as other videos we have for you. And if you are new to what we are doing here, we are from Akuru Collective as well as Institute of Typography in Sri Lanka. And we do this crazy thing called Colombo Type, a monthly meetup where we invite people from
Hi, Malindi. Malindi, can you unmute? Your mic went mute.
have I been talking to myself all this long?
For a while.
Okay, so okay, I will start from introducing Tharique, and then we can get back to all the things I talked about earlier. So Tharique Azeez is a typeface designer and a font engineer. He's also a lettering artist and calligrapher, specializing in the Tamil script. His work encompasses experimentation with multiple digital and analog media to design and create letter forms. His key interest is to look letter forms as art rather than just a writing system. He believes that type can evoke emotions and can represent mood and feel. He always focused on creating artworks with greater legibility yet expressive. A limited amount of quality fonts are available in Tamil, and this led Tharique to set his sight on creating interesting and commercially viable fonts in both the Latin and Tamil scripts. He has released several Tamil and Latin typefaces via Google Fonts. He seeks to explore new visuals and shapes with a specific focus on the Tamil letter forms. His works are featured in several movie projects, publications, and by celebrities worldwide. To add a personal touch to that introduction, Tharique is also a founding member at Akuru Collective as well as Institute of Typography. Be it education or typography, I always get inspired by whatever he shares on his social media. So I believe that many of you in the audience can relate to that as well. So I am truly honored to welcome on board. Welcome back to Colombo Type, Tharique Azeez. Hello, Tharique. Tharique.
Hi, Malindi.
Hi. Tharique.
Yeah, thank you
I
very
was
much
going
for
to tell
the.
you to switch on your video because I
Yeah.
couldn't see you. So today we are going to talk about drawing expressive letter forms, Tamil letter forms. Um, yeah, how do we take the start for this? Yes, I will leave the introduction to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Malindi, for having a good introduction, as well as having me on this Colombo Type 11th edition. So it's been an honor to share my experiences, which I always think like sharing is all about taking the teaching or the experience to share in one another and make a kind of inspiration on the go. So today we are actually going to talk about really about drawing expressive letter forms, as Malindi said. But instead of letter forms, we are specifically talking about the Tamil letter forms, which is I always fond of when I'm making in the mode. So let me quickly switch on my presentation and let's move on to that. So quickly, application window. Okay, that's could you can you confirm it for me that whether you can see this my slides?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
that's
see
cool.
the presentation.
Thank you very much. All right. So okay, so the drawing expressive letter forms and when I feel like what it actually means to be a letter form, right? So earlier days, people tend to talk and they started to write symbols and stuff to convey message. But again, the message is all about sharing, or rather transferring the emotion, or the information, right? So that's why we need to find out what is actually mean by expressive letter forms, right? So I am Tharique Azeez, a type designer and lettering artist, as well as the font engineer and calligrapher. So as if you have seen my Tamil typography venture, where I experiment a lot of different types of letter forms for Tamil, where you can follow me on my Instagram and in Facebook and everywhere. So this is one thing that happened to me when I started to doing this thing. This is the movie like video song from Jill Jang Jak, which is starred by the Siddharth, famous South Indian actor, and it's been watched by 20 million people. And the font that they use from my set of font that I created, which is called Neither, and also A.R. Rahman sir also Instagrammed and even tweeted my the things with the elements of expressiveness, which is come to life, and also my fonts being used in various different types of children thing, like blocks and learning materials and so on and so forth, right? Okay, so these are the fonts that I developed, or rather designed and developed, and actually you can actually start using it. It's available via Google Fonts, Pavanam, Neidal, and Kavivanar. Neidal yet to be released, but Kavivanar and Pavanam are actually right now. You can actually have you can have it right now, and now the let's focus on what Tamil script is, what it actually Tamil script mean. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a kind of a quick glimpse of the evolution of the script. So this is the we call Tamil Vattaluthu, which is the initial letter forms come before the Tamil script, which is Vattaluthu, and the Vattaluthu will be documented as a Unicode one for in this year, so we can see more different types of typefaces for this one too. So, and earlier on, the Tamil start the letter forms being engraved in the stones, and later the palm leaves manuscript start come into play, and after that they were having different types of way of using the pulley. For that they had this something called sharp ended writing tools, so that you can't make a dot on the palm leaf manuscript. So what they do is they actually started to draw a circle instead of a dot. So that is the evolution from the pulli, because the pulli is a kind of a unique factor for Tamil script. So if you can see this right here, it is the Anushwara we say, but it actually solving a problem by, if you click on, or rather write or make it as a dot, it may damage the manuscript, or rather the palm leaf. So that's why they started to do this and stuff. And that was and after that, the first book released in Tamil, and it was in 1573. And later there are a lot of different types of way how the letter forms are being presented. Okay, so if you can look at here, there are Tamil drop caps, which is, if you closely look at it, you have different types of letter forms, but it is not the exact letter form that we see right now in the modern days. But again, they have these kind of peculiar shapes. For example, if you look at here, this is Ana, but it's not the way that we write right now. And also, if you look at here, it's Ina, but we are not doing the same thing as here. And if you look at here, and it's Ona, but it is not the Ona. So this is kind of evolutionary things. But again, they had this kind of stylistic option to make it more expressive, to tell something. So it's actually, the expressive things has been happening for a long time. This is a book from 1579, and that's being the one of the first published printed books in Tamil. And also we can see a lot of different types of same thing in 1578. And also, if you look at here, there are different types of curves and lines, and giving sense of a more rich experience of letter forms, right? So that's happening there. And also later on, that being molded as different types of letters right now. And so those are the kind of evolution that where we started from the stone engravement, from their palm leaf manuscript and printing and everything. And now let's look at quickly look at the Tamil letter forms. Actually, it's a cool thing to understand, and you'll be able to see a lot of things about it, right? So let me quickly give you the thing. So we have vowels, which is Ana, Avanna. From that we have 12 vowels, and consonant we have 18 consonant. Okay, so that's we have. And also we have the Grantha letters, which is not the part of Tamil what do you call the writing system, but we are actually getting from the loan kind of characters from Grantha thing. Okay, so we have 12 vowels and 18 consonant. And with that we have Tamil numerals, which is the 0 is not part of the Tamil numeral initially, but they have later added it. But if you look at here, these Tamil itself has unique 10 for 10, for 100, for 1000. They have a unique different types of glyphs, which you can actually use right now for your numerical purposes, and that is that. But the numerals of Tamil lettering, letter forms are being obsolete right now. But again, you can see in different types of it. But if you start to use it, you can use it. And if you look at your mobile phones, if you switch on your Tamil keyboard, and you'll see a lot of these kind of nice the different types of letters, which is actually denotes for the Tamil numerals. Okay, so that's there. And for that we have also symbols, and we can have look at something like a kind of combined symbols as well. Okay, so that's there. But there is something else as well. Like I said already, that vowels are there, consonants are there, and the vowels and consonants get together and form a new combination. Okay, so let's find out what is it. So this is a consonant. Let's say if you get ik is a consonant and e is a vowel. If you ik and e, that ik, e, that's key, right? And that's a combination letter. This letter itself making a way of 216 letters, because if you multiply 12 into 16, 12 into 18, that becomes 216, right? So that is the maths of how the letter forms are being connected in the Tamil writing system. And we have a special character that this is. There are the 3 dots here, but we call it Aidaluthu, which is we can call as a tool letter or weapon letter or something like that. But it's Akku. It's Akku. It sounds Akku, right? But this is not the vowel. This is not the consonant. But this is different. Okay. So let's find out the equation of the letter form, the entire Tamil lettering system or the letter set. Okay. So we have vowel, 12 vowels, 18 consonants, and the combinations, which is we have like 12 into 18, that's 216, and item we have 1, and that we call 247 letters. So we have 247 letters in Tamil writing system. So that's the whole idea. Let's move to the next one, which is about expressiveness of letters. So we know that we understood the letter forms in Tamil, but let's say how we can actually expressive or express the meaning of it. For expressive in the sense, I always believe that you should have, for example, even if you have the font and if you use the font every single thing, you don't really resonate the emotion or the message that along with the text. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it won't. So you have to find a way to express thing. Okay, so that we have we need to find a way to express it, right? So let me quickly ask you a couple of questions. Not the question really, but just find out. Okay, so maybe here, if you look at here, this is quiet, calm. Okay, and this is calm. This has been written Amaidi, which is calm, right? Quiet or calm. But what do you see here? Which one looks quiet? For this or this? Well, you don't feel quiet here because it's very chaos. But here, there are a lot of space. It's actually is give kind of a sense of calmness, right? And that's because the way we organize the letter forms gives the essence of it, right? So that's how we need to express the thing. So we are using the same letters here and here, but in a different way, but to different emotions. So it is, so even though it is like a inverted one, let's say it is looks chaos, but it says calm, but it's here, it's very unique, like it's calm and it's feel calm, right? So that's how you need to find a way to expressive. Now let's look at for another example. Okay, so here soft, man-made, soft. How about this? Well, I don't feel like this is not the soft itself, but if you look at here, it's soft, right? It's kind of way say, okay, this is soft, but this is kind of aggressiveness. It's not soft, right? So that you can actually feel it, even though you don't really understand the language, or even if you don't know about the language, what it actually means. But again, you can get the feeling of it, right? And that's how the expressive thing plays a very fantastic role in letter forms. And if you look at everywhere, you see a lot of letter forms. I mean, a lot of letter in the sense you can't ignore letters in your day-to-day life. If you take a book, if you look at the form, everywhere is letter forms. And that's why you need to find a way to communicate and understand what they are communicating together. Because sometimes the letter forms can give you a sense of things, like they can even deceive you, like, you know, they can taste, like they can make you taste, or they can make you even hungry. So we need to find out a way how we can express that thing. So that is the kind of way to understand it in a way. Okay, so that is this is a good thing. Okay, so now, so this may you have seen this one earlier on in social media. If you look at here, The first one is kind of somebody actually want to kill somebody, but the second option is like, I'm waiting for you, the love, right? See, the way they written the language or the things gives you a lot of idea of how it actually works. So the letter forms are not about the language, it's about everything. Like it doesn't matter about the language. The way you portray something will always resonate with the way that you write the letters. So that's very important. That's very, very important to understand. Okay. So if you look at here, the line, shape, color, and scale. These are the four things that you need to find to make sure you give a great, clear idea of how you can make these into work. Okay. So if you look at here, the line, the way the lines, if you look at the early examples of, if you can go here, the lines we have, the space, and the color and the scale, then we can use the different colors here. If you click in here, the colors are different, and the scale, the scale, it's if you look at here, the fluctuating spaces or the scale or the sizes can give you some energy or the more movement, right? So that's a kind of way to encourage people to evoke your emotion that you really want to convey with your letter forms. Okay, so those are the four things that actually wants to say. So if you look at here, I've been saying Alagu Devade in Tamil, but it's actually so gentle, so expressive, and so like inviting. Like you can just like you're talking to somebody that you are really fond of, or you wanted to convey the message with that, like kind of thing. So it's actually have smooth, a lot of it actually has a lot of smooth curves in it, and it can make a lot of great things in the go. Okay, so that is there, right? So let me quickly give you how we can actually use it in a real life, or rather in my even though the way that you want to read is very hard thing, but again, if you really want to get into there, you should always see as something very achievable, right? So that's why I chose these kind of curves in it to make it more fun, or you have to evoke the fun in it.
Tharique, is it me or can everybody else hear Tharique speak? Did we lose Tharique? Okay. Please stay with us until we figure this out. I think we are facing a little bit of a technical issue here. Tharique, can you hear me? Okay. Tharique, we still can't hear you. I think you are still in the streaming room with us, but we can't hear you. Okay, we can see the presentation.
Oh,
Okay, I heard something. Okay.
is it working?
Okay, now I can hear you, but
Hello?
yeah, better. I hope everybody else can hear
Okay.
Tharique as well, right?
Um, which slide, or do you remember any idea?
Maybe the previous slide. Go back to the previous slide.
Okay, let me quickly go with that.
Because
This one,
the
right?
voice was kind of breaking for a little while. No, even before that. Before that.
This one?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe after that.
This one?
Yeah, shall we start from here?
Yeah, sure. Cool.
Okay.
Right, cool. Yeah, things happen because the live thing is always
Yeah,
do
that's
things.
why we have an extra person here,
All right, cool.
Kausala.
So yeah,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Right. So yeah. So good. So here, if you look at here, I actually use an illustration as well as the letter forms to convey a message and evoke emotions, right? To give faith in it. And if I go to the next one, if you can see the like the protest sign, that like fist thing, but again, it actually consists of a lot of letter forms in it to make a point there, right? So that's that. And the next one is here, the um, the one which is the Arabic letter forms, which I think quickly, right. All right, cool. So Arabic letter forms, where you can see it is Tamil, but if you just look at it quickly, but you feel like Arabic, but it's not Arabic, it's Tamil. So it's kind of give an experimentation of how you can incorporate combine letter forms ideas to get into the thing. And I always look for legibility. It's my priority is always legibility. If you can read it, that's fine. So you can read it. If you're familiar with Tamil letter forms or Tamil script, you can actually read it. Kanavukal vella kariyam thunai. That's the kind of thing. So it's now so that's a kind of thing. Okay, so that's very very good. And the next one is the alagiyathiye. If you look at here, this expressiveness is coming with the combination of it, right? So looking at this one, the lana and the kina has the both has the same thing, like the matra and the descender are combined together to can make yourself, right? That's how it actually works. So
Tharique, the connection is again breaking, I feel like.
these are also how about now? Is it working?
I can hear you, but okay, yeah, better. I can see and hear you. um,
Yeah, because of this, I think this is I don't know.
it's maybe because we three of us are joining from all over the country. So yeah, we are facing a little bit of technical difficulties, but I hope all of you can bear with us. Yes, Tariq, over to you again.
Okay, thank you. So basically, this is a kind of like say a packaging design, but we wanted to give a kind of energy here because it's a tea label, and we need to give an energy different side of it. So we use it Tuil Turati. The it's a kind of a clever name actually. So when you drink tea, you actually start to feel sleepless, like you just get rid of your sleep, right? So it's kind of a way of understanding it. So that's there, and also giving the sense of that kind of a feeling in it. So it's kind of a way that you can use the letter forms itself to make a point here. So that is another one. So if you look at here, this is this is a more kind of inspiration from Dido and also the Western type letter forms, or like Latin letter forms, but again we combine that with the Tamil letter forms to make something more cohesive to express the essence of the name, it right. So this is there, so you can see the actual expressiveness of the letters, right. So that's the another thing we can see in here, right. Then here, if you look at closely, just look at it, you'll see the Dr. APG Abdul Kalam, who is the former president of India, but the quote itself is embedded in its sloid. So the essence of it say, oh, the way he expressed the quote inside his the form of the way his hair and everything forms together will make a more expressiveness to say, oh, you don't really have to say that, but it's there, right. So it's kind of a when if you look at closely with this one, I have used a lot of ligages here. If you say T and here connect here and also here, because end of the day it's about legibility, but again you can make a lot of experimentation and different types of way of doing it, right. So and here I'm changing a movie title in English movie title into a Tamil one, but I'm not changing anything but the the script. So if you look at closely, it actually resembles the same thing, but they are totally different languages. But they have this similar idea or similar emotion. The original English movie has some emotion in it, right? And that emotions are, or rather, the feelings have been actually translated very nicely with the Tamil letter forms, because that's how you need to make sure, okay, this is can be done because I can do the emotion part or evoke the like the feelings using the letter form. So that's how it actually working here. So that's there. And here it's a kind of a thing. So if you look at the first one, so stay at home or something, which is for the pandemic one I did for this one. If you look at closely, it's kind of a bubble. So if you don't break the bubble, you have to be in the bubble. So if you break the bubble, you'll making chaos. So I'm just giving the feeling of it. Okay, so don't break the bubble. Stay in the bubble. Like your home is your safe place. Stay at home so that you can save lives. So it's kind of a way of getting that emotions in letter forms, as well as the way the colors, the shape, and the lines, and there are a lot of things are playing in there. But again, how what I have tried there is like a bubble, or like the fragileness of, right. So the fragile nature of the bubble is there, so you don't really break it. Stay at home. So that's how I doing that. And also if you look at here about awareness about a mask, which means please talk while close your nose and mouth, something like that. So but we are giving kind of a expressiveness by using the pulley as well as the counters as pulley. So sorry. So when you do look at here, you have the attention there, right? You have to go to the attention and get the attention and get the feeling of it. So you need to, here you are trying to transfer a message. So you need to get the attention. For that, I'm actually using these dots in there to get the attention. So that's there, right? And then if you go here, there are smooth lines and so much of expressiveness going on here, like the energetic way of using flawless, smooth, and also here, if you look at here, there are Arabic types of letters and so on and so forth. So that's happening there, right? So these are the main things in getting into the letter forms. You have to find a way to evoke the emotions, right? So that's happening there. And if you can go here, so this one is the like a flare or flame or something. So jodi eppadi jodiya erikkum means like we're talking about the flame, right? So I wanted to give the sense of flame in it. And here also, if you look at this one, we have this sense of more 3D kind of thing, but again we have ligatures as well as a kind of droppy feeling of it. So these are making some kind of a cohesiveness with the meaning of the letters as well as the letter forms itself. So we are connecting the meaning and the letter forms as well together to form a more cohesive way of expressing our ideas. So that's how we need to make a point here. Okay, so that's how it's actually happening with my letter forms, and which is I always experiment with different types of things. Okay, right. So those are the kind of examples that I wanted to share with you. I have, if you want to see a lot of examples, you can go and check out my Tamil typography, where I share tons of these kind of experiments and different types of things. You can go through that and find out the way. So I don't want to take a lot of time on that actually. So let's move on to drawing expressive letter. So we talked about letter forms, Tamil script letter forms, and how the letter forms have been used. And now we are going to talk about how you can actually make yourself a letter form like this, right? So kind of a quick way of doing it, not the quick way in the sense, understanding the process. Okay, right. First is all about research and inspiration. Like you need to find way what you're gonna do and what I'm gonna. So for this purpose, I'm actually inspired by Nick Mizani, who is doing these tile arts, and he's doing with this lettering and everything. So I wanted to illustrate Chennai, the capital of Tamil Nadu, to make it more like a Thai version of it, right? So I started to work on this and how to start to create this kind of piece in. So this is the outcome that this is the output that I created. But let me quickly go through what is the process it looks like, so that you can understand it and feel inspired and do the same. Okay. The first one is all about thumbnail sketching. Means you just taking sure whether I need to put the Chennai here or there, or this kind of experimentation. Like you find a way to understand it. Okay, so that's how you start first. The next one is about creating the sketching. Okay, sketch, just sketching, start the sketching. So you have to create it. So this is a story from my Instagram, where we shared about this, how I started to do this, and I'm using the compass and everything to start this process. Okay, the next one is about fine tuning. Means I wanted to like draw these things slowly and gradually, to get that feeling of it, the authentic feeling of it, to the tiles and everything. So started doing that, the fine tuning it, and inking is every single brick or the tile, or the brick, the tile. So just like giving little, just have to get in there. So it's there, you are getting there. You just have to be, it's like a meditation, right? You just there. So you do that, and finally you get it right. But that's not finished, because you are just scanning everything to a computer that's digitizing it, right? And from there you have to convert everything in a different way to place it. So the next part is about digital coloring and texturing. So this is what this looks like. So this is the inverted version of this, and I have colored everything with different types of if you look at closely, you can see the texture, the the variable type of nature, and the fluctuation of the lines and everything. So it's a kind of a given authentic thing, but it's not the real one. It is an actually what do you call, it's not the real thing tiles one, but I created it because that you can create it, because it's a process. You have to do it to get in there. So this is how you have to make something out of nothing. Now, nothing in the sense, you have this kind of idea and start to exploring it, and you'll get there, right? So it's not a linear process, it's an iterative process. Means you have to it is not the first one. I'll try different things, and and finally I settle with this one. So it's all about like experimentation, about doing this and doing that and doing more and over again and again and again. So that's how you have to focus on it, right? So that's not a linear process, it's actually a iterative one. Okay, now let me quickly give you an idea about the expressiveness. It's come with the dedication of doing the process, but if you understand the pan logic, you will get a lot of expressiveness in your letters or in the drawings. Okay, let's find out. The pan logic means the way that the pan actually connect or create the lines. Okay, so if you look at here, it's a parallel pilot pan, pilot parallel pan. We can, if you look at here, that actually gives a kind of a way. So I produced with different types of texture and everything, but if you look at closely, that you can see the nature of that pen going up and down, and giving the sense of it. So this is the good thing in the way. Okay, all right, so if you look at here, this is a calligraphic pen, but I am trying to create the Arabic inspired letter forms in Tamil. So I'm using the calligraphic pen for this. So and you see the pen dynamics or pen logic in there. And if you go here, the brush pen, it's again different logic here. And if you go here, the monoline than one, which is just have the same width in it, and it will give some other different type of emotion in it. So this is there. And also if you have the texture in it and also the marker feeling of it, the next one, it's giving me the giving the same sense of the letter form or expressiveness, right? Then next, if you look at here, this is kind of a brush pen thing, but again it gives a kind of a gentle way of telling about it. So we are talking about kind of a love. So I thought this is kind of some smoother lines can evoke that emotion here. So that these are actually created using the pen logic. If you understand the pen logic, you can actually create yourself with fantastic things. All right. So that would say it's a fantastic, interesting thing to know about the pan logic. Okay. So now, now you know how to do this, and you are trying to do this, and you know the pan logic. But again, the next one is don't show it, present it. What's that mean? So the don't show it, present in the sense, let's say here, if you look at here, there are two things. The first one is showing, and the second one is presenting. So showing is a part of it, but presenting is another part, right? So it's a way that you balance together. You have to find out, like present in a way, say, okay, this is how I started, and this is how I end up with. So this is a kind of process. So you are presenting the process, not just telling about this is it. No, you are presenting. You are don't just showing it, you are presenting it, right? So that's another one. So if you look at here, from here to here, so we are telling a story, the process. Okay, the process is the presentation. The showing is the output. We don't want to show the output, everyone knows that, but presentation is very important. It plays a lot of things, and give an idea for people to understand your process and come on board on your way. Okay, right? So let's the same example in a different way. So I have this text, sketch here, and the different way of portraying in the output of this one. So I'm using the same kind of presentation thing. I'm not just showing it, but presenting it. Okay, so this is a kind of way that you need to find out how you can actually share your things in your way. Okay, right. So that's that. And now we have to find, observe, and practice. Now just these things won't happen overnight. It takes time. But how do you make it feel that you have to observe things and practice all the time? Practice. So the Pablo Picasso once said, learn the rules like pro so you can break them like an artist. So it's like that. So you have to find the rules, means pen logic, how the letter forms work, what are the letter forms things, what is the letter form's ideal way of presenting it, and so on and so forth. If you know all these rules, you can break them. You can't break the rules if you don't know the rules, right? So you have to know the rules. So that's an important thing to understand. So start exploring it, observe it, and practice and practice and practice, right? And always remember, schedule your practice time and show up every day, every day in the sense, like it's a kind of a ritual. You have to show up every day, no matter what. You have to show up and do the thing. What is, like, for example, if you want to expressive letters, you have to draw anything every single day, then you'll get there. It's like a process. It's a process. You have to enjoy that process. So and there's one quote that I like from Bruce Lee, which says, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." This is a powerful quote. So if you keep on practicing one thing all the time, you will become an expert in that, and no one can beat you. You'll become unstoppable. And that's the thing with these letter forms. And I actually is talking with my experience, actually. It's because I started my lettering things in 2013, and eventually I get into here because I thought that I can practice my thing, and I'll become something that I really wanted to. So it is there. So the more you practice, the better you get. So, and also I recommend that you read The One Thing by Gary Keller. Is a fantastic book. So I don't want to talk about anything like that. Just read The One Thing. That's it. So if you can take a Kindle version or a physical one, just take it and read it. That's it. That's the only one thing that you need to do. Okay. For that, it will help you to draw and achieve many things in your life. So that I really wanted to share with you today. And also the same principle. Practice means creating more things, creating every day, creating things every single day. It's an important thing. Okay. So that's the important element that I wanted to evoke here. And always remember, it is not about perfection, it's about production. So get out of the perfection mentality, get into the production mentality. In the sense, it's all about you create things, and when you create, you start to gradually improve over time, and that production gives you value. And that's the way of making things in a forward, or rather achieving your dreams or the targets, right? So look for production way of it. Don't about the perfection. Perfection doesn't even exist really. It's not there. You don't find utopia in anywhere. Just it's an ideal place. You can't even get it there. So it's you have to get into the production mind. Okay, so that's the important thing. And when you do all these things, you will start to discover your style. Style is within you. You have to find that. You have to find, in the sense, you have to discover it. It's there, right? We say somebody discovered this country and this planet and everything, but you have to discover your style. It's within you. And how discover it? You have to practice every single day. If you do that, you'll be able to practice, and you'll be able to get that into the flow and understand your style, and render your service, or even give back to the community that you serve as a gift. So that's how it is. And the meaning of life is all about like that, right? You find your gift and give back to that gift to the other people, and that's how the life works. So it's important to discover your style. For that, you have to practice your thing. And as always, trust the process and enjoy the process. It's all about the process. It's not about the output. It's the process. It is what you are trying to do something, and the process itself, that creation, right? But if you think that you can achieve something, sometimes you may have a lot of ideas about that's how I really wanted to. But sometimes when you make something, you don't feel the same thing as what you thought. But that's okay, because sometimes your skills lack kind of perfect, or rather the ability to beat the taste that you have. So when you beat the taste with the skill, you'll be able to create fantastic works. For that, you have to practice. For the practice, you have to trust the process and enjoy the process. And that's the part that I wanted to share with this thing. So expressive letter form is all about practice. That's the way that I feel like it, right? So that's all I got today, because to recap everything, we talked about the letter forms and the expressiveness of letter forms, the usage of letter forms, and how you can create the letter forms, and now how you can get that momentum or the flow to get into the idea of how you can recreate that thing the way you think, right? It's not about sometimes we have an idea about to execute, but we don't actually see the output as it is, because that's we need some more skills. So for that we have to practice. So that's the only thing that I wanted to express today. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and if you, I'm open for any question and answers session or whatever. So thank you very much, Malindi, for this one.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tharique. I was intensely listening to your presentation, and I have to say it's so truly inspiring, because I also I love drawing letters. I do it as a hobby all the time. But like you said, I always end with the sketch and not developing it, or sometimes I abandon sketches without practicing it. And so what you said truly hit my heart. So I believe that most of the people in our audience can relate to that feeling as well. So truly inspiring presentation. Thank you so much. And I know you put a lot of effort and a lot of time to prepare this presentation and come on Colombo Type today. So thank you so much. And we have questions. Actually, we have a question from Dharani Rajendra. You have mentioned about history of Tamil script over time. Which one of your lettering would you say has been most inspired from older Tamil scripts?
Yeah, so basically the idea of all letter forms is about having the different types of letter forms in the early days, but sometimes the early days letter forms are not legible, and you have to do a lot of research to find out the letter forms are created with the current version, right? So I always tend to focus on the legibility part. So for that, I always look for, okay, how can I recreate this sense? Or even if I recreate it, I always mention that I'm actually recreating this thing from Vattaluthu to make it as Aharam, so something like that. So it is there. So if you look at the Instagram feed, you'll find this type of experimentation, but I don't actually necessarily using the exact letter forms in my thing, because it is not the way it has to be. It has to be different when, because the earlier versions are not the identical one that we are using right now. It is totally different. If you look at my presentation, I have shown a couple of drop caps where we have different types of letter forms for even Anna, but it's evolved. But looking back at this history, it's very fascinating. And yeah, I always generate those ideas and getting those like strokes and everything to recreate it, because end of the day, if you want to create something new, you have to create the universe first. That won't happen, right? So you have to start from something somewhere. So it's all about how you do that, right? So it's everything is a remix. So you go for that and sense of it and doing this. So that's hope that helps.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a question from Janaka while the presentation was going on. Are there any newly added letters in the alphabet like F of Sinhala? And if not, isn't there a requirement for introducing such letters?
Yeah,
This is
it's
more to do with
it's
the
a good question actually, because in Tamil we have say ba. There's no ba here, okay? So that you don't make a sound in ba, but there are a couple of languages that use this. There is a language called Irula. Irula, it's actually inspired by Tamil, but they have different types of glyphs they are using to make these kind of sounds in their community. So, but this is not a mainstream language, but they are an endangered language, but they are using it. But for the part of it, what we don't have is the ba, because we don't have a ba sound word in Tamil. But when you want to have the word in English, you just have to write in Tamil. You have to find ba or pa, something like that. But that's the way that it. But there are a couple of research going on whether we need to introduce things. And I remember in Pana there has a put kind of a crow's stroke to make it as a ba or something. But that doesn't even cut the line actually. So it's there, but people actually trying this rigid way of having the letter forms on the places and making sure that everything is online in line, and with that they can actually enhance the thing. But in the wake of that, I want to must say that grantha letters like ha, sha, ja, and everything comes from in this Tamil, from the grantha letters. So those are the letters coming from different languages, but there is a need for that. But eventually there's no need to have explicitly right now, because we don't have that such kind of sound words at the moment in the language itself. Yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah, that's all the questions we have at the live chat. But we are going to take all the questions, take the post discussion to Clubhouse. I'm sure Tharique will be there. A few of our other members from Akuru Collective will be there. So we invite you to join us there as well. And thank you for the awesome support by all of you at the chat. And thank you for tuning in with our session on a Saturday evening. And I have to thank few of our members as well for helping us with our Colombo Type 11th edition. Thank you, Costello, for joining us and providing us with technical support. We had a little bit of a rough start at the beginning, but we could finish this with smoothly. Then I also would love to thank Vihanga, who, if you saw our promotional materials during the past 2 weeks, it was all designed by Vihanga, our volunteer graphic designer at Akuru Collective. So thank you to you too. And thank you for our audience, and thank you very much again, Tharique, for joining with us today, bringing your wonderful ideas to Colombo Type platform. Before we close up or wrap up Colombo Type, I would like to say a little bit about AkuruCon news is that we won't be meeting you with a Colombo Type on July, that is next month. But the important thing is AkuruCon is happening. AkuruCon is coming on August. It's going to be a month-long online conference, so you won't be missing out on Colombo Type. We'll be back on September, and also 30 Days of Akuru is also coming up, so there will be plenty of type, letters, and everything to keep you entertained. Until we meet you on our next Colombo Type, stay tuned to our social media and actually come to our Clubhouse session today to ask further questions about Colombo Type session. So with that said, shall we wrap up? Tharique, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you, Mayan, for having an opportunity to present this idea to my fellow people at Akuru Collective, as well as the followers and the people who really wanted to learn things. So thank you for the opportunity, and I hope for all the best for everyone, and good night. Thank you.
Okay, so someone had said that the link is not working. So if you go to our Facebook page, we have posted the link there. It's Akuru Collective. You can have the full link there as well. Let me try to paste the link again in the chat before we close the live stream. Okay, you can follow this link as well. So that being said, thank you again for joining with us. Have a wonderful night. See you again in September.